Hi there. You found Queen Bee Crafts, my channel all about my crafting life. My name is Eve, my pronouns are she, her, and welcome to the start of Spring with Sarah Moustafa. I'm so excited to be hosting this event and, having this be the first year of this event. So I am going to do a little bit of a whip and chat with y'all. I have some spring questions that I'm going to go through and talk about, so you guys can get to know me a little bit better, and you can see me start my kit that I'll be working on for the event, which is Lady of the Lake. This is a discontinued kit of Sarah Moustafa's from Diamond Art Club. Some of the details on this kit: it is a 56 by 74 centimeter, which is 22.4 by 29.6 inches. It is a round drill kit. It's got 35 colors, 3 ABs, and I have decided that I'm also going to add some of these metallic drills from Diamond Art Club as well. Probably in her headpiece and in the gold on her armbands, but I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. This kit has been sitting in my stash since April of 2022, so it deserves its time in the sun. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm gonna cut away my plastic here. I know some people use washi tape to make their sections. Some people use release paper. I actually use both. I'll probably do the first section of this kit like this with the washi tape, but there's a very high probability that I switch to release papers afterwards. I just find that I have a hard time getting the sections to lie the way that I want them to. Come on. For example, this whole situation. But yeah, so section is open now. Let's crease that. Do I want to use a cover minder? I don't really have any that match this kit. I'll just use this diamond, very basic. Okay. And then my tray is from Amazon. I don't remember the brand name, but they're bigger trays than the ones you would get with Diamond Art Club, and my pen is actually from Diamond Art Club. I don't remember which one this is, but it is really pretty blues and golds, and I thought that would go really well with this kit. My drills off to the side here, so let's go ahead and get started. So I found a spring questions tag that I'm going to be using. So the first question is, what do you like to do in the spring that you can't do other times of the year? And I mean, it's kind of hard. Like, other times of the year that include summer, because like where I live, spring is not warm, it's not hot, but it's also not cold either. I know a lot of people still experience like winter temps in spring, like March and April, but where I live, I mean, we're already in the the mid 60s, low 70s. It actually got up to 80 degrees Fahrenheit the other day. And so it's kind of hard for me to pick something that I can't do other times of the year. But I will say that I do enjoy sitting outside on my balcony, enjoying the weather this time of the year more than others. And I just realized that I'm having the hardest time picking a color to start with. Okay, so here, we'll do this one. Also forgot to load up my pen. I'm just using pink wax from Diamond Art Club. Single placer. I'm not gonna fill my multi-placer just because usually with round drills I typically will do the checkerboard method. So yeah. Okay. So that is question number 1 and my first drill placed for this event. So yeah, that is what I enjoy doing more this time of year than others, or it's not so much what I can't do in other times of the year, but that I enjoy doing more. Because once we get to summer and it's in the 90s, sometimes even up to 100 degrees, it's not as fun to sit outside and just sit outside. Like, I live 10 minutes from the beach, so going to the beach in 100 degrees is wonderful. Love that. But I am not a big fan of just sitting when it's 100 degrees. All right, number 2, what is your favorite springtime flower? Okay, so I love in general, well, my favorite flower of all time is sunflowers. And I'm not entirely sure that they bloom like in spring, you know, like when everything's starting to turn, finally blooming and things. I would say I see like crocuses and daffodils spring up first, and they're both pretty, but I wouldn't say they're my favorites. And I don't know when hydrangeas bloom, but I guess that hydrangeas are my favorite, in terms of ones that I know that bloom not like at the end of summer. So yeah, that is what I would say is my favorite spring flower. Number 3, what is my favorite thing about spring? So if it wasn't already apparent, spring actually is my favorite season. It's not too hot yet. Everything is just starting to come back to life. My seasonal depression is finally going dormant, and I'm feeling a lot more like a human being again. So all those things are benefits. But I think that spring in general is looked at as a time of rebirth and refreshment and things like getting better. Like, we pretty much suffer through 3 to 4 months of sad and gloom. And once we start seeing the sunshine more, and like, for example, here in the United States, we just had our daylight savings change, which is a whole other rant that I could have in itself. I think that it's outdated and we need to change that. But that first day when the sun sets and it's like 7 o'clock at night, oh, it's so nice. Wow, I can actually like stay out and do things later than 4 in the afternoon, which, you know, is not the case when it's fall and winter. I used to work at a winery, and we would change our hours so that we would close at, you know, pretty much close to sunset every other or during the fall and the winter, I should say. But once we got to spring and we could stay open later, or we stayed open later, everyone really enjoyed that because they could come after work and hang out with us for a little while, because we weren't closing, like, we were closing at 7 instead of 6, so a lot of people got off work at 6. And they enjoyed it too. So usually I try and checkerboard my whole section, but I guess we're just going to put these in. And I'm wondering what these are. They're stars in the painting. Should I switch these to ABs? I wonder, would they look prettier as ABs? Like white ABs. Well, it is a round kit. They will be easier to pull up if I decide at the end of the kit that I don't like the look of them. So we'll just go with it as it is now. Anywho, so next question on here. What is the weather like in your area for spring? So I did kind of cover this a little bit. It rains a lot, but the temperature is usually in the 60s and 70s Fahrenheit. I live in Virginia, in Southern Virginia. If this is the first video that you are finding of mine, my husband is in the Navy, so we are stationed in the Norfolk area. Anywho, so we get a lot of rain, but the temperature is really nice, so most days I'm able to, if not take long walks outside, I'm at least able to open up my sliding glass door or windows and let in the nice weather. Even when it's raining, usually the days are on the mild side. So that is one of the benefits to where I live that I do really enjoy. That, I mean, even during the winter, we never really got cold. It didn't snow at all here this year. And yeah, to my husband's chagrin, he is definitely a cold weather human being. I am not, so we'll see where we compromise, where we finally do end up ultimately, because obviously we won't be here forever. Thank you, military. All right, where is my next color? Let's do, spin these around, release this one. Let's do H, which is also a part of these stars. And one already that is trash. Okay. So next question is, when do you start your garden if you have one? I don't have one. I wish I did. We live, unfortunately, in an apartment, so I don't have a yard. However, I do grow like herbs, and so I probably actually should start those now, because I have one of those Aero Garden countertop hydroponic, I think is what they're considered, growing situations, and I like to use those to at least start off my ceilings. When I was living in my first apartment, I did actually have access to a small garden that I did grow some flowers in, but I think while we're living here, I might start those herbs in my hydroponic and then move them into pots and keep them on the balcony. Or since they're herbs, I could just continue to grow them in the hydroponic and use them in my cooking, and maybe I'll start some flowers or something so that I can have something fun on the balcony. The one con being that actually the balcony door is, you know, right over here, and the way that I've set up my craft room, it's not impossible to get out there, but it is on the more difficult side. So that's one of the reasons why I don't have really anything going on out there. But we'll see. Obviously, my mind can change and we can adjust, we can adapt. Okay, next color, I'm gonna do, this plus sign is so prevalent, so I'm gonna do the plus sign. I forget where I saw the trick with the washi tape on the ends of your trays. I'm just looking for any that are like obviously trash. No. Okay. So next up on this list Do you celebrate Easter? I do celebrate Easter. I am Catholic, and I am very excited that Easter is actually really early this year, which means that Lent hasn't felt quite as long. So if you are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Christians participate in a part of the church calendar called Lent, which is 40 days from Ash Wednesday to Good Friday / Easter, which is obviously the part of the Bible timeline that Jesus was crucified and then rose from the dead. So we usually will give up something and meditate on why we're giving up whatever it is that we're giving up, or add something spiritual into our lives during those 40 days. And it always feels like a really long time when Easter is in April. But this year, being at the end of this month, it doesn't feel quite as long and much more doable. So with that being said, I don't view myself as maybe some other religious people do. Obviously, these are my beliefs, and I'm not trying to force anything on anyone. And I do try my absolute hardest to be respectful and not say or do anything that might put down or feel racist or anti any other person's religion. These are just my beliefs, and if we share beliefs, that's awesome. I would love to discuss things with you, but at the same time, if these are not your beliefs, I would love to also open the discussion. What do you believe? Or if you don't celebrate Easter, do you celebrate any sort of spring religious things? I know that certain people who aren't Christian will still celebrate the start of spring. I believe in certain, now don't quote me on this, in certain like witchcraft practices, paganism, Ostara is the beginning of spring. And again, if I'm wrong on that, please let me know. I am obviously not going to practice any of those religions, but I am very curious about learning about them. So yeah. And yeah, that's number 6. Number 7, do you do any special crafts for spring? Well, here we are. This is my first diamond painting event, which I hope, if all goes well, I will host again next spring. So, Spring with Sarah and Moustafa will be a regularly occurring spring special situation for me. Every Easter, I usually color eggs with my family. This is my first Easter married, and I'm living with my husband, obviously. And we want to start traditions of our own. I would still like to color eggs, but I don't like eating hard-boiled eggs just straight. So I might see if there's a way that we can do something fun colored eggs wise for like egg salad or deviled eggs. So if anyone has any suggestions on what we can do that, you know, use the hard-boiled eggs but aren't just straight up eating a hard-boiled egg for breakfast, because they're okay, but something about the texture of the yolk of a hard-boiled egg just really, it's not a good sensory experience for me. So yeah, we do egg coloring. I think I want to start this year doing Easter baskets. Like, my husband and I make each other a basket. That was something that I grew up with, that my mom would do for me and my siblings. But that's not something that my husband grew up with. So when I mentioned Easter basket to him the other day when we were in the store, he was like, "What?" So we'll see if maybe I send him a video or something of couples who do baskets for each other, and we'll see. He's usually why do we have to do that kind of guy. And my response is usually because it's fun and I want to. So yeah. If anyone has any other fun suggestions for a couple who is, I mean, I don't want to say newly married, but I mean, we're not even to our first anniversary yet. So if there's anything that you think would be fun for us to do or try this first. We had a lot of, so our first Christmas together was this past Christmas. First Halloween, first, let's see, what other holidays? Because, like, we moved in together in December of 2021. Is that right? Yeah. And then in June of 2022, moved back to my parents' house because he was changing duty stations, and we knew that we were coming to Norfolk, and my parents actually only live like 3.5 to 4 hours north of here. And so we moved all of our stuff back in with him because we knew where he was getting transferred. He was going to be going on a deployment. And I didn't want to move to a new city all by myself and then get a job and be working and paying my own rent because we weren't married yet at that point. So his funds from the military weren't going to cover any of my bills. So we opted for me to stay with my family until he was back from that deployment. He left in August of 2022 and came home April 2023. And that is when we moved down here officially. And then we were married in June. So we've had we had Christmas together when we first moved in together, but we didn't do really anything else. Let's see, so January we both had COVID for that New Year's, and then also so we did Valentine's Day together that year. And then I'm pretty sure, so we were together for Easter and stuff, but I'm pretty sure he was on duty because I don't remember us doing anything for anything special for Easter. And then he was deployed for better part of last year. And yeah. So that all in all to say, do I do anything special? Yes. And would like to add some other special things. So if anyone has any suggestions, please send them my way. Okay. What is your favorite spring color? I've never really thought of myself as a spring. When I put on colors, I tend to be more of a summer or an autumn, just based on my coloring. But I do really like blue, and I've had several clothing items in the past that are that pretty that robin's egg blue color, and I think that looks nice on me. So I think that, because blue is my favorite. Obviously it just says what is my favorite spring color. If I just said blue, couldn't all colors technically fit into spring? You know, if you just said the basic blue. Depends on the shade, but blue could fit into every season, right? But that pretty pastel blue is probably my favorite in terms of spring colors. Number 9, do you do spring cleaning? Yes and no. I definitely try, but I will say that just cleaning in general for me is very low on my list of tasks that I do, that I enjoy doing. I have ADHD, and the drive to do actual adulting tasks most of the time is very low. And I've discovered about myself that I have a very hard time with keeping habits. And I think I was reading somewhere that actually it is proven that the way that an ADHD brain works, that it is near impossible for us to actually form habits. We have to have something written or typed or have a schedule that we look at and are like, okay, this is what we need to do, checklist. It's not just inherent. Like, every day I go into the bathroom in the mornings and I have things written down on my mirror, like my bathroom routine that I have to go through and check off. Like washing my face, brushing my teeth, putting on my face creams, deodorant. And I also have a list of like when I need to shower, because if I don't have those things written down like that, I would just not do them, which is terrible, but that is the way that my brain works. So I'm the same way when it comes to cleaning. And obviously you're able to ignore the things that you write for yourself. And I usually do, unfortunately. So I will say I'm getting to the point that, okay, our house is dirty enough that it does need to be cleaned. So that's most likely what I will be doing this week, is vacuuming and mopping, dusting, tidying, trying to find better homes for items that are just sitting out. And I will say we do have quite a box of giveaway items growing, so that's high on my priority list for the week, especially this week before Easter, because my parents are actually going to come down and spend Easter with us. So I do need to make sure that the space is good for them to be here, and we have the space to actually accommodate them. So that's where I stand on spring cleaning. I do have one more question on this tag, and I'm barely made a dent in this section. I'm at 40 minutes, so we'll just do a little bit more. We'll talk about this last question here. I would love to know if you all are participating in this event, what you're working on, and if you would like to, I have a Facebook group. I will link it below. It is just Spring with Sarah Moustafa, where we talk about, discuss, what we're working on, other, fun things, Sarah Moustafa related, and if you're not a Facebook user, I will highly encourage the use of the hashtag Spring with Sarah Moustafa on Instagram, but since hashtags on Instagram don't work like they used to, I will ask that you also tag me, Queen V Crafts, so that I can see what you're working on. it's kind of crazy to me that, like, this time last year, I was waiting for my husband to come home from a deployment, and, you know, not knowing what it was going to be like moving to a new city, and how we were going to settle in, how my cats were going to settle in. I feel bad for them because, you know, they lived majority of their life at my parents' house. And then I uprooted them, moved to my own apartment the beginning of, what was it? Is it 2020? Yeah, I signed my lease December 2019, and I moved in January 2020. And then, you know, was that the case? No, I moved in January. That had to have been January. I can't remember now. It might have been that I signed at the end of 2020 and moved in January 2021. Is that? Yeah, that makes more sense. So they got moved 2021, and then the end of 2021 is when we moved again to Connecticut this time. And then 6 months later, we moved again back to Virginia. And then April, we moved again down here. So these poor cats have moved so many times in the past, like, 3 years, when for the first 7 of their lives, they were happy as clams to just exist where they were. And then, who knows, the rate that we're going, my husband might get out of the Navy sooner than later, and we might end up moving them again. Obviously, I'm saying, like, oh, sad for my cats, but in reality, I'm talking about myself. I'm not a fan of change. I don't enjoy moving. It's such pain. Especially, like, the first move that I made was to an apartment that was at least, like, only 30 minutes from where my parents lived. So I moved a lot of things in shifts, in bits and pieces. So I didn't end up actually packing my entire apartment in one go. That wasn't until we moved to Connecticut and we packed my whole apartment and moved, which was, that was a crazy thing, because I was by myself trying to pack a whole apartment and working too, full time. So I really had no time to pack my apartment. So it was the day that we were supposed to leave. We had the truck, it was parked outside, and we're still, like, frantically trying to put things in boxes. Luckily, my mom and my sister came over and were super helpful getting things packed while I helped my husband carry furniture down the flight of stairs. Fond memories, and I say fond and I mean not fond at all. It was a crazy day, and then we had to sit in the moving truck for the 6.5 or so hours to drive up to Connecticut from Virginia, which was a whole other beast. that was the first time that I drove a U-Haul. Not the last time I would ever drive a U-Haul. My husband has been great, and when we moved stuff from my parents down to here, he graciously, I mean, obviously it's only a 3.5 to 4 hour drive, but he graciously drove the truck the whole way so that I could drive my car with my cats. And yeah, he drove most of the way in the truck when we left Connecticut because he was actually towing his car on that truck. And our hope, the next time that we have to move, we're able to utilize a moving company or the Navy to move our stuff. I think I would make sure that everything that they were going to move is packed the way that I want it to. And they just have to move boxes and furniture. Even then, it makes me a little bit nervous because I see so many horror stories of like dropping pieces of furniture and breaking them and stuff. Like, some of my furniture is sentimental. Like, and really, if it broke, it's like, you better reimburse me. Like, that was a $2,000 or some crazy amount bed frame or dresser. Like, a lot of the things that I have kept in my possession in terms of furniture are things that my parents let me take of my bedroom set when I moved out, and they weren't cheap. Like, I know some people just buy their kids like cheaper bedroom sets because they know that they're gonna grow and they'll just, you know, update them as they need to be bigger. No, my parents said to go big or go home. And when I grew out of my crib, they just bought me a queen size bed. It's kind of funny to see home videos of this teeny tiny little like 1-year-old in a queen size bed. But that's what they decided to do, and it was like a real, I think it's Bassett furniture. It's real wood, and it's lasted me for 26 years. How old am I now? Am I 27? I don't even remember anymore. 25 plus years. And I know it's because it's good quality. But if they were to break something, like, they wouldn't want to reimburse. I just know it. They'd be like, well, it was like whatever quality, it was not, taken care of. Just like, no, you broke it. You should be responsible for the cost of it. I've gotten off topic here. Basically to say that I know that the Navy is going to end up having us move. I'm hoping that the money that they would give us to do a do-it-yourself move or a divvy move would cover the cost of hiring like professional movers who actually will do their job right. So anyways, last question on this Easter tag is, do you go anywhere for spring break? I used to when I was in college. I went on a trip up to visit my grandparents one year. They're in New York. I've gone to Myrtle Beach. But I didn't go to I want to say a party school, but like I didn't go to a big college, and it really wasn't high on anyone's list to do like Fort Lauderdale or other places in Florida that I can't even think of because I never went to any of those. I will say my sister is at the University of Alabama, and they did their spring break in Fort Lauderdale, and she said it was so much fun, so chaotic, and a little bit terrifying. And I think that's what always made me hesitant to do spring break like that, you know? Because I am not a risk taker. I'm very much a homebody. So even when I was in college, I would rather like sit at home and watch TV or read, or at that time I wasn't cross stitching or diamond painting. But I was watching a lot of anime on Netflix, and let's see, what else was I enjoying doing? Oh, at that point I was lash rug hooking. So I was doing a craft, but obviously that craft kind of died because I no longer do it. I am now a diamond painter and a cross stitcher. Those are my hobbies, and it actually is kind of hard to balance those hobbies at sometimes. Finding the time to do both is been tricky, especially in the last couple of months, where I like got really into diamond painting and kind of took a break from cross stitch for close to a year, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't touch any of my cross stitch projects for pretty much a full year. And then, excuse me, I got really, really back into it, and to the point where I've kind of neglected my diamond paintings. So I'm hoping that this event is good motivation also to get me back into diamond painting, and figuring out what's a good, like, maybe weekly schedule, like which projects do I work on during the week of my stitching, and which projects do I work on diamond paintings. So yeah. And I guess on that note, because let's see, we are at almost an hour, and I got a little bit of work done on this section. We should probably call it there. I so appreciate y'all for sticking around and watching this video. If you liked what you saw, like and subscribe to this channel, see more diamond painting / cross stitch content. And if you are joining us for Spring with Sarah Moustafa, I would love to hear about that, in the comments, as well as anything that you enjoy doing for spring, like some of the things that I mentioned. What do you do spring-wise? Since I'm looking for more things to do with my husband. And I guess that's a good place to say bye. Thank you again, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye. Is this